for India. But I guess that should be same, other than there is one nuance to it, that it is coming from NAV 2016, if I'm not wrong, right?
Yes.
Okay. Hmm. Okay.
In that, one of our seniors told us to add a hotfix of 194. So that's we also added for that
Okay.
for
Would that
Indian
help?
localization.
Okay. As in, let's see what's in here. Is there a specific article for India, or is just the same article, I guess, everywhere? I
It's the
guess
same.
it's the same article, right?
I think
So
I can find the link to just if I can. I saved some of the links.
yeah. So not technical upgrade. Customize. Yeah. Let's see. Okay. This is all remain same, but there should be specific steps for India. I guess I saw them in the past. Yeah. So for India, you are saying, and let me ask you that question. Whatever the GST table that you are saying, uh, was that table had data till Business Central 14 in air or not?
Mm, That's I don't find that table on the specific because the table IDs and other things are changed. So
Yeah, but I guess if you look it on the SQL Server, and I don't have an instance of any localization on my machine, but it seems that there's a lot of requests for it. So maybe someday I'll do it. But if you go into SQL Server and just search from the name, you might be able to find that table, right? Or if you're saying it's a GST table, then check the GUID or the app ID for this particular extension, and then filter based on that GUID in SQL Server. Once you filter that, you will eventually be able to see all the tables part of this particular extension. Because right now we are talking about BC 22 or 23, and till then the join did not happen. Right now in 24, there is a join of all the extension table into one single table. But till this point, there was no join attached to it. So what I would do in this case is I'll find the GUID of this particular extension, whatever that GST extension is, and then let me share here. Yeah, then let's say this is the database, just assuming, because when you look at the tables here till BC 23, every table had this GUID. So if this is the GUID of that extension for GST, and just picking this is the system extension GUID, you can just on-prem come and do a filter on the name where it contains this. What will happen with this is all the tables from just that extension will be available here. Okay. If you know the name, great. You don't need to know the number of that table. So first, what I would check that once you come from 2016 to BC 14, and then there, if I'm not wrong, there is a step of Microsoft to move data to an extension in BC 14. After that step is executed, check does the GST table has data or not, whatever table you are referring from SQL Server. And if it has the data, then we might want to look into migration from BC 14 to BC 23. If it does not have the data, then you might want to look back from 2016 to BC 14 what went wrong. So you kind of will have to divide and conquer the situation where the issue is eventually. Make sense, Amar?
yes,
So I guess without knowing anything, I guess this is what I would suggest. Either I'm pretty sure in the India product DVD there will be uh, source code for these extensions, and you will be able to see the name of the table or the ID of the table if needed. And otherwise, just get the GUID of it from extension management and use it on SQL Server to identify what tables are part of it. And if it still bothers you,
Sure.
just drop me an email. I might expedite this one then. I'm not, right now not doing it because I'll have to download and set up everything. But what's the harm if it causes problem? Maybe during the weekend I can play around with it. Okay. Hey Saeed, how are you? Shahid,
I'm
sorry.
good, good. Yeah, how are you?
It's been a
Long
while,
time.
man. Haven't seen
Yeah,
you for a while.
yeah, yeah. I missed several sessions.
How are things? All good?
It's good.
What?
It's good. It's good. Actually, I was in Microsoft
I
for
saw
work.
that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
for 2 years, and then back to again to my core strength. That means I mean now back to partner. So
Okay.
directly communicating with clients. Because from Microsoft, that was the challenge, not getting the right partner in, especially in Bangladesh.
Okay. Do you
So
work with any partners? We'll
yeah,
find someone.
I was dependent on some, I mean, you country partner, even some Sri Lankan partner, but now working with the Barjar, they came to tech industry for SAP practice as well for Microsoft practice. So I
Okay.
am leading the Microsoft practice.
Nice. Nice. Sounds good, man.
Thanks,
Yeah.
thanks.
Okay. So, and then I'm going to do it separate someday, but how many of you, as there's nothing to talk about, know about the partial load? Anyone? Partial load, heard about it, used it somewhere?
No, I haven't.
Okay. Then this is kind of something which is pretty nice. Was baked in when? Versions 18 or 19 somewhere. They released it. Back then it made a lot of sense, but it's still relevant in certain situations. So maybe we'll talk about it and we'll see what a partial record is and how you kind of fetch it and use it. Okay. No, it's loaded, symbols are available, and maybe this theme doesn't work. Let me change the theme to black. And if it is good in viewing the screen, let me know. I change it to light during the day and then darker during the night because that way it's kind of more good to me. Okay. But if it is causing problem to your eyes, let me know. I'll change it. Okay. So let's not delete it. Okay. So let's say this is not on open page. Let's first talk about what are the tools that you know in the system as of today from a user perspective that you tell to your customers that they should be using it before reporting a problem to you. Let's say if a customer says this page is slow, what is your first suggestion? Anything? When I click on customer page, let's say it takes a little bit more time to load this page. What would you suggest your customer to do rather than saying, okay, I'll look into it in the code, I'll see who's extending it, I'll see where the problems are. What is your first answer should be in a business central world? Either on premise, SaaS, doesn't matter. Do you say anything to your customers today if they say the page is slow? Okay. So let's talk about it then. So if a page is slow, and because most of us are coming from NAV, our approach is we are the boss of your system and we will debug it and we'll see why the slowness is. In the extension model, we need to understand the difference in technology from an NAV perspective to a business central perspective. The business central perspective is a little bit different than NAV because we have limited control to the source code, which was pretty much everything we had access in NAV. So even if the page slowness was caused by Microsoft, we were able to change the code to increase the speed. Or if the page speed is slow because an extension, or not an extension, a customization in NAV was written by Kamal, uh, Avinash can go and fix it because he had access to the code. Business Central is a collection of apps. Any customer who buys Business Central have a set of apps installed, which are from Microsoft, then some built by their partners who are managing them. And on top of it, they have access to the app stores in SaaS, or they have access to the bigger partner ecosystem or ISV ecosystem to purchase the solution that they have picked for their specific industries. So now, I as a developer, and even if this customer is mine, from an accounting perspective, I will not be able to uh, change what Kamal or Avinash have written into their system, in their extension. So that statement true?
Yes.
Right? So if I cannot change it as a developer, we also have to shift the mindset that we are not the boss of the all the code that my customer have. We are only responsible and only can fix problem that are caused by my extension. And when I say my, that means the company that I work for, or if I am an ISV, the app that I have built. So should we change the approach how we deal with the problems in NAV versus Business Central? And I know some of us are still working in NAV and Business Central in our daily jobs. So there's a different approach how you deal with it, or how at least I deal with it. My approach would be to identify the culprit extension which is causing that problem. And I'm just saying culprit to identify whose extension it is. It can be my extension. And if the extension which is causing the slowness or error, whatever the situation is, if it is my extension, then I'll deal with it. But if it is not my extension, my first responsibility is report it on behalf of my customer to that ISV provider. And guys, this is the repos steps, and this is causing slowness in our customer environment, and we have tested it. Make sense?
Yes.
Okay. So now how we identify the culprit extension? We sometimes use it daily, but we kind of run so fast into it that we only remember the things that we care about. So everybody knows this. Okay. When you go into your help and support, you have this nice and beautiful action to inspect page and data. Everybody use somewhere here and there to check the table number, to check the field
Yes.
ID, right? But it is not just to tell you the table number and the page number or the table feeds that are there, or just the primary key of that table or of that record. But it also have other tabs here. The first one is extension, or the second one is extension, which tells you which all extension are impacting this particular page where you are in. So right now I'm on customer and it says this page is built with a collection of 3 extension based from Microsoft system and Dynamics GP historical data because I'm using an US environment. If I come into my item page, this will reflect the extension which are impacting this particular page, which the change happened because of the list. Not just that, if you zoom in and let me see what is the shortcut for zoom in on the screen, magnifier, I guess. Okay, So let me.
Controller.
So if you zoom in here, and is it zoomed in for you or
Yes.
not?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes.
So if you look at it, it tells you that this is impacted by the system application by Microsoft. This is the GUID of that extension, but it also tells you how much time it took to load this particular extension. 128 millisecond. This one took 1581 millisecond, 279 millisecond, 140 and 376 millisecond. Now how I come out of Zoom? Okay, I don't know. Let me try to turn it off. All right. So when a customer says my page is slow during load, ask them which just ask them to send a screenshot once the page load is completed so that you understand which of these extension is causing the slowness. It will be very clearly visible that which is causing the slowness, because right now if I look at it, the maximum time is taken by the base application, and I literally cannot remove base application or report it unless it causes a huge delay into the system. But in this list, if you find a third-party extension or an extension that is built by you, you instantly get an idea where you have to look into it or whom you should be reporting, rather than start debugging and start solving the problem. So next time when a customer says my page is slow, tell them to go into page inspection, send this a screenshot, or not even screenshot, tell them to tell you which extension is taking majority of time, and just send that extension name, and then you will do your bit to report it to Microsoft, or sorry, to the third party or the PDE that you're working on or that is causing the slowness. Now this is one example where there is an extension that is slowing down a page load event specifically that you can identify from this area, or not you, your users can identify from this area. But what if a process is slow or if there is an error? Now what do you do? I'm posting a sales order, there is an error message, not a sales order, but I'm doing message. Any guesses?
No.
No. Okay, let's go back to our help and support. Under troubleshoot, is there anything else? The first one is view the last known error. So if there is an error reported, it will show you the error, but that doesn't happen so frequently. Then there is third one called analyze performance. How many of us have used this? No? Interesting. Okay.
I used on Power BI, but not here.
Okay. So when you click on analyze performance, it opens up a separate tab for you, which is automatically linked to the session that you're connected to right now. And this can help you doing so many things. So let's see what it can help you. Let me close this. Let me come here and let's try doing something. So you need to reach to the exact point where you have a performance issue or an error message that is causing problems to you. I don't have any custom extension on this, hopefully, I guess. But let's try to post this and see what happens. Before I actually post it, what I'm going to do is I'm going to start it here. Okay. And then I'm going to post it. I haven't seen what it is in there, but let's see. I'm trying to post it, going through, executing the posting code. Hopefully it gets posted. Okay, it seems it get posted. Okay, now let's come back here and try to stop this. Okay, here it is. So whatever code that has been executed in the process that you executed kind of was recording behind the scene when you enabled your performance analyzer. And it's broken based on how many millisecond all of these different apps which are impacting your process, which are part of your process. Like, so when you're posting your sales order, it surely calls code unit 80, 12, 22, whatever those code units are. So majority of time is taken by base application. I'm expecting that there were some record links and all, which kind of are part of the system application, because there are item involved. Even if I'm not using Shopify connector, there might be some subscriber for code unit 80, which are being triggered at that point. The business foundation is used for number series, and number series getting number series and updating number series. Digital voucher, that's a new app that's launched. The business event kind of gets triggered in the subscriber to make sure that third parties are involved or notified that the sales order posting has been completed. And in the same way, some time was spent into e-document core. But how does that help you? It doesn't, right? I can see the graph. How does that help? Because we are developers, we might skip the first one and we'll come to the show technical detail. Now here, the same graph, but this time it shows you how much time was spent on each of these applications. So if it's a slow process, you can see which of these apps, not Microsoft, obviously, which of other apps are taking majority of time. And when I'm saying not Microsoft, I'm only talking about base, system, and foundation, an application for sure, because these are the core apps. Other than that, if your customer is not using Shopify connector, why you want them to waste 224 milliseconds into this? If they are not using it, remove it. Even on SaaS, don't just keep adding apps because they come by default when you create an environment in SaaS. Only deploy apps which make sense to your customer, because these apps will surely will have table extensions, page extensions, or even subscriber to your base code unit. And they get triggered when the code reaches to that point. So save that time if not needed. Once this is done, it still doesn't give me anything. Okay, let's come down here. Time spent per application objects. Now here it is giving you how much time was taken by each object that was part of this whole posting process of the sales order. From sales post to general line to item general line, aggregator, because this is used for APIs later on. Change log, I'm pretty sure I have change log enabled into it, so it created some change log entries and so on and so forth. Then it went into Shopify connector to update Shopify document link management if there was any. Coming down, it went here, but this is not the sequence of the code that was called. Remember this. This is just giving you the time spent per application object, and it is shorting the data based on the maximum time spent to minimum time spent. Okay, still doesn't help you as a developer. So now let's go to the last one, which is your favorite, and people who have worked in NAV will surely remember it from 2009 or prior version. There used to be a call track or call trace in NAV 2009, which used to trace your process or track or record your process while doing certain things. So while this is happening, let me see, is there an explode all? Yeah. So this actually happened when you clicked on that button in the sales order. You click on the post button on the page, this, which called a function in the page itself called post sales order, which then called the function of send to posting in the table sales header. Then it checks for approval. If the approval, everything looks good. If there is a workflow enable or not. Once that is done, it moves to sales post yes and no, where you get that option to ship invoice or ship an invoice. From there, it came down, call our favorite code unit 80, hit validation and all. Check, is that a batch processing or a single sales order that you're trying to post? Does it calculation and all? Comes down, checks the dimensions in dimension management, sales post, going back to check, is there a restriction from workflow into it? And as it goes by, it goes into the number series implementation, which is part of the foundation now. Sales post, release, tax calculation, uh, global trigger, because it's part of that change log part that's happening here. Then there is a external event that's being called from a completely separate app called exclude business event, which is updating the power domain about the sales order posting or releasing, I guess. Yeah, on the release. Then it comes, it creates the posted documents, insert posted headers, shipment headers, invoice headers, because I did invoice and shipment. Then it saves the database insert, comes down, processes this, checks for item tracking, goes to item journal line, posts the item journal line, creates the item ledger entry, keep coming down, creates a value entry. Uh, if there are record links attached, doing that. Reservation management, item journal post, costing adjustment, because I have enabled automatic cost posting, so inventory post costing. And then at the end, it starts creating journal line, which eventually will create GL entries. Now, this is gold for a developer. I'm pretty sure it is not of any use for a consultant or a customer, but this is gold for you. But this does not end here. What you can tell your users, like I told you, to start this, execute the process that either is slow or you have an error message or something. And before starting the process, hit the start button. Once the process ends, hit the stop button and then download this file. So I can download this file as a user, or I can directly share it from here. I don't have OneDrive, but it gets copied into OneDrive and then it opens the share window. And then once the file is downloaded, what he or she does, he just sends you that in an email or whatever your medium of communication is. And that file looks something like, let me see if I can zoom this in a little bit, like this. Performance profile session 5657 ALCU. I'll say, okay, but my customer is using 5 different ISVs and 20 different add-ons from X, Y, Z. What I'll do with file? Now, you can actually do everything. This environment is sandbox. Let me go into, I don't have local installation, but assume I have local installation as a developer or a Docker environment, whatever you are working with. Irrespective of do you have the similar extensions or not, it doesn't matter. You can just upload this file by going into a completely separate environment, even for a different region, and just upload this file. So I'll go back to help and support as a developer, get into analyze performance, not connected to my customer anywhere. And then in this page, I get an option to upload. I just drag this file, place it here, and whatever my user was seeing, the same screen or the same set of recording is available to me as a developer to understand where is the slowness, if it is a slowness issue, or what code is causing the problem, and that code is coming from which extension. So now, rather than spending 20-30 hours on my customer system, where in some cases just getting access to customer environment can take 20 hours because they have a complex system, they need to create an account for you, you need to install VPN and do X and Y and Z. If it's an on-prem customer, you can just get this data, which is the trace of the problem that they are facing, and then install it or upload it in a completely unrelated environment than your customer environment. You don't have to mimic your customer environment because it is not containing it. It does not have the code, or it does not have a dependency to the environment. It is just a recording file which is available here. Okay. But what else we can do of that file? Let me try to open that file here to see what happens. Can I do something on that file from here? Yes, I can. That file is also translated to something called as a developer stack, or what do you call that? I forgot the word, but there's a word for this file so that you can analyze the same behavior but inside your VS Code. You can see the same call track here, trace here. I think I should have an option to expand all somewhere. Is it this? Yes. Okay. So here it is. Self time in millisecond, total time in millisecond, function name, and then this here gives you the extension that from where it is coming from. You want to short it by function name, you can do that. You want to just see whatever the process is taking majority of time, then you take the total time into it, and then it tells you whatever the total time is taken by which function and from where this function is coming from. If you have the code, because I had the code, right, of because I had the dependency on the base app, I can actually literally click here and it'll take me exactly to that line of code, not even being on my customer environment. So I can see, oh, this line in base Microsoft is taking a good amount of time. Oh, 0.00 time. So that's a wrong assumption here. Let me short it here. Okay. Idle time, I don't think I have anything that I can refer it to. But then this 656.27 millisecond on finalized posting, which I don't know what it does. If I have the extension and I have permission to access the source code of that extension, I can actually come and see what is causing that. But don't get into this rabbit hole of saying, oh, why this much time on Microsoft app? Because believe me, you can't change that. So if you can't change that, just eliminate anything which is something beyond your control. So what is in your control is your app. Sorry. So is in this whole call stack, is there a reference to an event subscriber or to a code or to a procedure that you have written in your extension? If yes, then that should be interesting for you to analyze. For any other extension that you haven't built, surely look into the time, and if it seems way off the chart, then go back to that partner who wrote this extension and report it to them. But guys, this is the scenario, and not just a scenario, this is the file that our customer gave us. Can you just load it and see what happens when they post a sales order or whatever that process is, and how slow the system is just because of your subscribers? Make sense, guys? Any questions on that?
Yep.
No questions? All right. So going forward, make sure how
Great one,
you
Saurabh. I mean, it will help us a lot.
thank you, sir.
Yeah, I was not, I mean, known about this.
Thank you. Empower your users to do whatever work they can do on your behalf. And this does not need a technical expertise to do this. In majority of the cases, a consultant talks to customers. A developer kind of comes either behind the scene or at a later stage when it kind of goes surely into technical domain. But anytime a customer says there is a problem, tell them about the tools which are baked in into the system so that you can utilize the power that is given by the Microsoft in the standard solution. This work across apps, irrespective of whose app it is. It's just recording the procedures that are being called. You can't see the code if you don't have the permission. So No worries about it. The other thing, if a customer says I have an error message when I click on this, like I had this error message when I click on this, don't forget the small thing that Microsoft is doing here. Share details. What it does, it says copy the error detail, share the detail via email, which would be preferred when a customer is talking to you, or if it's from your consultant, then share via team in the same organization. Otherwise, let's do copy error detail, and let me open my Word file somehow. The same step is available in all other options. But what happens when I do a paste here? It is not just giving me the error message that you see on your screen, which we think it will do because we have worked in NAV for all these years. Error details is just the error message. Not just that, it gives you everything. It gives you the session ID, which is causing who kind of get this error message, inside session ID, client activity ID, timestamp when it happened, if there's a telemetry involved, what is the telemetry ID, and then also the call stack. What ended up to have this error pop up on your user screen is completely written here. So if, and again, surely because it's in stack, it follows bottom up approach. So it starts from here, and then here somewhere there's an error message of license error. So it goes from this stage to this. So without getting into customer system, without sharing and doing any screen sharing, where the user might be busy to show you how the error is and what the error is, empower them to click on that button and share that insight with you, because it's something that you can read, neither your consultant can read in some cases, and neither your users can read. But for you, it gives you a direction where to look rather than looking everywhere into the system. It gives you the extension name. It even gives you the object name, object ID, function name, and even the line number. So you have every information to look into that code of where it is causing the problem. Does that make sense, guys?
Yes.
So don't just escape things because they seem obvious that, oh, there will be nothing. No, there are things. You can utilize them. All right. This was about uh, enabling your users, and then there is this enable additional logging. Now this option is only required when a Microsoft person kind of is working on an environment and they request you to enable this. Now when you enable this, it kind of emits the telemetry signals, and Microsoft then can read those and understand the cause of the problem. As a partner, you will not need it, and it is only available for 15 minutes. While getting details from your customer, and this might be only SaaS, I'll have to check on-prem or not, rather than manually copy pasting it, there is a hyperlink given to copy the text below so that you can just paste it on your partner screen when they need it. So I can just paste it. It gives all the details. What is the tenant ID that I'm operating on? What is the environment name? What is the session ID? And what is the telemetry ID? Which helps developers and your partners to look into it specifically rather than going into 20 different directions. So don't ignore these because this is important. Okay, how much time we have? 15 minutes. Let's try to see if we can talk about it. About the partial load. Okay, now let's say I have a code unit. Yeah. Okay. Okay. And I would like to do let's do filter sales invoice lines or sales order lines. Sales order lines. Okay. And stop me wherever I'm doing something wrong. Okay. I'm working on your commands. So if you say, oh, sorry, this is wrong, I'll stop myself there. Okay, I just want to get some sales order line based on some filters. So what I'll do is I would need a sales line so that I can return it back. Got sales line, and then somewhere here I'll do a sales line. All right, the call is good. Now what I should be doing is sales line dot set range, set filter, whatever you do, document type with sales line dot document type as order. Okay. Then my sales line dot set range of document number. Um, I don't care about the document number, I guess. Let me do a type filter. Type is equals to sales line dot type item. All right. And then I just want to see the lines where quantity to ship, let's say, is greater than 0. And here I'm going to ask you the question. So keep looking at the code. Define set. Then repeat until okay. And let's say I'll create a variable of type list for item list of type list of code. Okay. Let's say I just wanted to get the item numbers of all the items where quantity to ship is greater than 0, just to check are they available in the system or not. So I'll do a if item list dot get of sales line dot number. If not get, then I'll do a item list dot add. Okay, what I'm doing wrong here? Nothing, I guess. Let me reload this. Sometime it happens. Okay. Anything wrong in this function? Anything that I should be changing so that the performance of this function, and let's talk about performance, is improved? Let's assume that this is happening. Oh, not get, because get is pointing to the integer. There is contain, I guess. Yeah, contains. Yeah. Can I do something better to get the list of items where there is quantity to ship required on sales line? I just want to get all the items which have quantity to ship greater than 0 on any of my sales line of type as of sales order lines. Anyone?
Maybe you need to add filter above, just like set range or set filter.
For
Not sure, maybe for quantity.
I did that, right? Quantity ship is greater than 0. So if it is greater than 0, then and only then it'll come into this and add it, right?
Maybe we
Shahid,
could
anything?
filter
Yeah,
on
go ahead. Go ahead.
line number.
Which line number I should filter on, because there might be 1,000 lines into it on 10 different orders. I don't know. I just want to see all the items that are still yet to be shipped. Any thoughts? Or does this code looks good? And then I have
I
follow-up
think
questions. So I'll ask those.
I think we should first do sales line number is the primary key, right?
No, sales line primary key is document type, document number, and line number. Document type PK1, document number PK2, and line number PK3.
Okay.
And we can change the primary key.
Sorry,
We can't change the primary key.
you can't, right? Yeah, it's just about, is this code optimized? Seems performance-wise optimized. Think about million sales line, and maybe in the next session I'll create a data so that I can show you the impact. But if there are million sales line, is this the performance optimized way of identifying the items which are available in sales line which are yet to be shipped?
We can add a set current key for this.
Okay, let's do that. So let me ask a follow-up question. When I do a set current key, do I need to have a key?
Nope.
Okay, let's see. Okay, so I did type and then wanted to ship, you're saying? Maybe
We can
then
only add the quantity to ship in the set current key.
just the quantity to ship.
Yeah.
Okay, and this is Kamal speaking, so maybe we'll have to review it next week, but that's okay. I'll just put your name and see without this and with this what happens.
Sure.
Anyone else interested in anything? Okay, I want everyone, there's no right or wrong answers to it, but what happens when this line gets called from a SQL server perspective?
It will load all the lines first, and then it will perform all the operations.
We'll roll all the lines based on this filter, correct? And
Yes.
once all the lines are loaded, it'll get into this repeat until. And
Yes.
then each line will come one time, it'll do this and then do this. Now think about it, if there are million lines, how's the performance of this code?
First, it will all the million lines are loaded. Then it will start all the transaction of the
Okay,
Illofor.
let's look at the sales line from a SQL perspective, not from a BC perspective, but let's go into SQL because we have flexibility to go to SQL. So we can go to SQL. Okay. Okay, here's the sales line. If I do a select of 1000, what actually happens? This is a extension table. Let me find the actual table. Okay, here is what happens. Okay, so let's try to apply that filter here. We said where document type. That's document type, right? Yeah. Document type is equals to what? Order. Quote and order. So that becomes 1. And what else? What are filter? Type. Type is equals to, and I'll have to check the type. What is the type? Document type. Let's go into it. LM sales document type. That becomes, come on. Okay, so for, oh, I did order. That's correct. But let's come back here. I was looking for this type. Okay, go to definition, type, LM sales line type. Okay, that makes it 2. So let's say where type is equals to 2. Okay, let's run this. So now it gives me all the lines of type item. And then I said quantity to ship. So let's do that. And quantity to ship is greater than, and I don't know how you apply this, but let's see. Maybe like this. Okay, execute. So what Kamal was saying, this is what happens in SQL Server, and it gets, let's say, a million lines. It's not million lines, it's only 31 rows, but just to take an example. And then within the repeat until, the first line is called, whatever is written between repeat until, that gets executed. In the second line, so on and so forth, and it comes down to 31, but the next is now 0 because there is no more rows. So it ends there. We always think from top to down. That's how we have learned things. We never think from left to right. How many fields are there? And this is
Many.
just Microsoft field. Okay, now think about, there is an extension which is adding 10 different fields also. So that adds 10 more fields. And if there are 5 extensions to sales line table, each adding 10 fields, so then 50 fields. There are 189 fields just from the core Microsoft table for US localization. Okay, and if I do this one, this is one of the extension. This also adds 4 more fields into it. It's just a simple extension. So this also adds 4 more fields. Is there one more extension? It seems so. Let's see. Oh yeah, this is coming from Shopify integration, I guess. So that also adds 6 more fields, and it makes 200 fields of the table on just one single table. When we are saying that it'll filter out all the records based on the filter that I have applied, only what I said is 1 million rows. Will the load time of this will be 1 million into 200 columns? Because all this need to be in buffer, right? To process whatever I have written between repeat and until. And wherever I'm getting lost or you are getting lost, let me know. I'll stop there or maybe revisit that. So at this line, as in NAV, there used to be a setting. I don't know it's still there or not. In your database alter section, you can limit how much find set returns. The default setting was 500. I'm pretty sure it would have been increased. So based on that setting, it automatically fetches that many record and that many columns. The columns are the Microsoft table and all the extension tables to that particular Microsoft table. And then for each row and for all the columns, remember the columns, it executes this. Now think about the columns. How many columns I'm using between repeat and until? How many columns from sales line I'm using within repeat and until?
Just one. Or
One.
maybe, yeah, one. Just one.
One, right? Which is
Yep.
sales line dot number. So will this be faster or this be faster? What do you think? The previous one will be faster or this one will be faster?
The second.
The second one. Can we do something about it in our code? Yes. And because we are running out of time, I'll leave you with that question and we'll talk about partial load in next session. And we'll see with the examples. I'll keep this extension as it is. We'll also test Kamal's scenario of adding set current key into it to see does that impact anything. And then we'll understand about the partial load, how easy it is, and how much impact it does to your existing code that you have written from a performance perspective. If you have a little bit of complex scenario of your code, bring it on. We'll talk about it. If possible, that should be with the standard Microsoft so that we can test it out. But bring it in. Let's talk about this in the next week. Does that make sense, guys?
Yeah.
Yes.
Take a screenshot if needed. If you have any suggestions during the week, email me. I'll make sure that I add a lot of data into this table or some other table where we can apply the same rule and understand what is the performance of this code when run via a method, by adding key, what happens, without adding key, what happens, having one table extension, what happens, having 5 table extension, what happens, and how your partial load kind of helps you to increase the performance of your code. It's so good to leave with the question, right?
It,
We
it, it feels
can
like sitting.
add find
Sorry,
first here also.
you can add the find first.
In the
Okay,
it
let's
will
do that.
take all the one by one, but it will make sense where your data is short. I
Okay,
think once I tested in find set, all the once I take the data, it makes the transition faster.
we'll see that, sir.
And the
I'll
vice
be,
versa, in some cases, I get the find set it's slower also.
we'll see that. We'll see which one performs faster. Okay.
Sure.
So if anyone else is interested, take a screenshot. Think about it whenever you get some time. You have the whole week. You can even reply me till Friday morning my time, and I'll just add your code if you send it to me. Or if you have a better example or a better complex situation, maybe that you're dealing with, just the only case is that it should be on the standard table so that I don't have to set up the whole environment for it. And then we'll talk about it. We'll see how different minor, small changes can help your code to be more optimized when it is being executed. So I'll leave you with that question. Enjoy your weekend. We'll talk about it in the coming week. Thank you all.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank
Thank you, sir.
you.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Bye.
Have a great week.
You
Bye.
too, man. Thank you. Okay. So if you are still here, let me know what you think about this session. Do you think that we did something wrong? If yes, that's okay. Let us know. We are ready to learn something new every day. And if you also have a suggestion of what incorrect code that I have written in the example that I've shown, uh, add it into the comment section. We'll take your advice also. And in the next meeting, we'll talk about the things that we are talking about in today's session in detail. You know the drill. In the comment section, add your comments, your questions if you have any, and if you have any suggestions what we should be covering in this meeting, also add it into the comment section. If you would like to join these meetings, here's the link to join these meeting. It should be available in the pinned comment. I may not guarantee it. I am not guaranteeing it, but I'll try to keep it there. But it's available on my blog. There is a page called VC Open Discussion. The link of the next meeting gets available most probably by Monday, and you can register there. So I'll be waiting to hear from you in the comment section or via email, and I'll see you in the next meeting, which happens next Friday, India time 9 to 10 p.m. Enjoy your weekend and see you soon. Thank you.